Grandma's heartbreaking story of overcoming trauma will leave you in tears and inspired. The sun hung low in the sky, casting a warm glow over Evelyn's quaint suburban home, where laughter often danced through the hallways like a sweet melody. But behind her gentle smile, a storm brewed, one that few could see. Evelyn, a grandmother with silver hair and kind eyes, silently fought battles no one else knew about. A letter arrived on an ordinary Tuesday. Its white envelope, stark against the colorful clutter of her life, instantly plunging her into shadows from her past. A warning, she whispered to herself as she reached for it. Each stroke of the pen on paper was like a cold gust of wind, chilling her to the bone. The letter was marked in an elegant script, a name she had tried to forget resurfacing in her mind like a ghost haunting a familiar place. It wasn't just a piece of mail. It was a door she thought had been sealed tight, suddenly ajar again. Fear clutched at her heart, a familiar, painful squeeze. Evelyn's mind raced, recalling silent dinners filled with tension, bitter words hovering in the air. Memories of betrayal, heartache, and anguish twisted around her like thick vines, squeezing her chest in a tight grip. She fought the urge to crumple the letter, the words digging deeper into her already fragile psyche. Why now, she thought, anguish like a heavy weight, pulling her down. Drawing a shuddering breath, she turned the paper over, scanning the lines that came straight from the past she had buried under layers of strength. "Your daughter needs you," it read. Those words were like a clap of thunder in her heart. The daughter she'd lost touch with, the one she had so desperately tried to protect from her own failures, needed her again. Her trembling hands maneuvered over the letters, as if doing so could massage the tension from her soul. What if she opened that door? Would it let in healing? Or would it unleash a flood, dragging her once again into the depths of sorrow? Each point of doubt echoed in her mind, growing louder, pulsing like a heartbeat. Outside, the neighborhood buzzed with activity. Children playing, lawnmowers roaring, laughter floating on the evening breeze. Their joy contrasted sharply with her heavy heart, a constant reminder of families untouched by pain. And there she stood, on the precipice of a decision. Did she dare dive back into the chaos of her past, risking everything? Little did Evelyn know, her daughter and granddaughter were struggling too. They were tangled in their own difficulties, unaware of the shadows looming over their family's history. Would they even welcome her back? That fear gripped her tighter than the letter's contents, and she felt the tears threaten to spill. As she stared at the unanswerable, could she find forgiveness for her past? Would it truly heal the scars, or would it unravel everything? Hey, before we continue with this incredible story, I need to give you an important warning. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube removed their subscriptions without notice. Just take a quick look at the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I don't want you to miss any exclusive content coming up. And since you're here, smash that like button because it really helps me with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who is part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's interact. As Evelyn stood there gripping the letter, her heart pounded in her chest like a drum echoing within the silence of her home. The world outside felt distant, as if wrapped in a fog, while her own reality twisted under the weight of the words before her. What if her daughter really needed her? She had so many memories weighing on her, decisions where love was buried beneath a cloak of regret. She breathed deeply, attempting to settle herself. Just as desperation clawed at her, a sudden noise shattered the night, a loud crash from the back of her house. Her heart leapt into her throat, and she stumbled backward, the letter slipping from her fingers and drifting to the floor like a fallen leaf. Panic surged through her veins. She was alone, and the night felt darker. Evelyn hurried to the kitchen, her feet pounding against the wooden floor, adrenaline igniting her senses. The soft hum of the refrigerator was the only sound, a stark contrast to the chaos swirling in her mind. Then she heard it again, a muffled voice, a shout, then silence. With her heart racing, she flung open the door leading to the backyard. There, beneath the flickering porch light, stood two figures, shadowed and indistinct. At first, she squinted to make sense of who they could be. Time felt frozen as she stared at them. The shadows twisted into something eerie. Her breath caught, and her stomach dropped, a chill spreading through her bones. "Evelyn!" she heard a familiar voice shout. It was her daughter, Alice. The warmth in her heart ignited, but it was quickly swallowed by dread when she noticed someone was clinging to her arm. A young girl, her granddaughter, eyes wide with terror. But Evelyn's joy sank into despair when she saw the other figure. Standing behind Alice was a man, his features half hidden by the dark. There was something unsettling about him, an unease radiating off him like heat from a flame. "What's happening?" Evelyn called, voice trembling. Fear coiled around her as they hesitated. He found us, Mama," Alice gasped, her face pale, eyes darting from Evelyn to the man, back to Evelyn. "I didn't know where else to go." Evelyn's heart sank deeper. The man stepped forward, a smirk playing on his lips. Something was wrong, terribly wrong. "She's just a child," he said, voice smooth yet dripping with malice. "You can't protect her, Evelyn. You can't protect anyone." Suddenly it hit Evelyn like a jolt. She reached for Alice, who was trembling. "Stay back!" she shouted, adrenaline forcing the words out. Her heart fought with every pulse, every beat resonating with fear. The memories of her past began to surface again, dark shadows rising from forgotten depths. Alice looked toward her mother, panic in her gaze. "We have to go, Mama. He knows." Things about you." "What?" Evelyn's voice trembled, uncertainty seeping into her tone. She hadn't spoken about her past to Alice, not since they drifted apart. How could he be connected to it? In that moment, everything shifted. The facade of her calm world crumbled, revealing cracks in her carefully constructed reality. Who was this man? What did he know? The shock sent ripples of fear through her. Her daughter and granddaughter were in danger. She felt a sudden chill run down her spine as the implications crashed over her. The shadows of her past reared their ugly heads, and she found herself teetering on the brink of a terrifying truth. "What you mean, things about me?" Evelyn's voice was barely a whisper, a thread pulling tighter around her heart. The man chuckled, low and ominous. "You have some explaining to do, Evelyn. And if you don't give me what I want, your family will never be safe." The weight of his words pressed down on her like an anvil, shattering any sense of security. The reason for her daughter's silence and fear clawed at her mind, and she realized she was standing on the edge of a storm. where everything she thought she knew would be swept away. What had she kept hidden? As the night deepened, uncertainty loomed larger than ever, leaving Evelyn with one piercing thought. Could she face her past to protect her family? Or was it too late? Evelyn's heart raced, pounding like a wild drum. Fear twisted her insides. The man, lurking in the shadows, felt like a ghost from her worst nightmares. "What do you want?" she demanded, hope and desperation battling within her. Alice clutched her daughter tightly, trembling, whispering things this man shouldn't know. He stepped forward, barely touched by the light. A chill crept into the air, heavy and suffocating. "Oh, I think you know," he replied smoothly, eyes glinting with malice. "You've hidden so much, Evelyn." Evelyn's breath caught. No one knew her past, not even Alice. What strings had this man pulled? "Stay back," she warned again, feeling the fierce urge to protect them both, to shield them from the chaos spiraling into her life once more. And then it happened. The world shifted. A low rumbling echoed in the distance, like thunder rolling in before a storm. Evelyn's heart sank. "What is that?" she gasped as the ground began to shake beneath her feet. It started softly, a tremor that escalated into a violent quaking. Suddenly, the old tree in her yard cracked, sending branches crashing to the ground. Before she could process what was happening, the porch groaned. The man stumbled back, eyes wide, shock overtaking his expression. "No, this can't be!" In that instant, the ground fissured open, a deep crack splitting her yard in two. Dust and debris filled the air. It was as if the earth itself was unearthing secrets long buried. Evelyn blinked, disbelief falling hard over her reality. "Mom, we have to go!" Alice yelled, pulling her towards the house. But Evelyn stood frozen, transfixed by the sight unfolding before her. The crack widened, revealing something metallic and glinting deep below, and merging through the chaos. A large, intricately designed metal box oozed from the earth. Its sides were engraved with symbols she'd never seen. Oath familiar, mind reeled. "What do you mean? What's in there?" "Open it," he urged, voice sharp with a strange mix of eagerness and fear. "You have to know the truth." As the box continued to rise, the air thickened with an energy that felt alive, twisting, pulling, dragging Evelyn toward it. She fought against it, confusion swirling in her mind like a storm. What truth? Why now? What had this box to do with her daughter and granddaughter? Suddenly, the contents inside flickered with a blinding light. Shadows danced through the cracks. "Mom, what's happening?" Alice cried out, clutching her tightly, eyes wide. The glow intensified. Evelyn's heart raced. She felt the pull, the urgency. Would opening that box uncover secrets she wasn't ready to confront? Could it change everything? Faces of the past rushed through her mind, fighting for space amidst her fears. As she reached out, her hand hesitated above the lid. The man stepped closer, voice low and insistent. "This is your chance, Evelyn. Don't run from it." But in that heartbeat, an echo of silence filled the air as a deafening roar emerged from the box. Shadows exploded outward, crashing into reality. Evelyn's world spun with endless possibilities. While Alice yelled and the man recoiled, in that moment, every promise shattered, every fear laid bare. What would she discover? And how would it change everything she believed? The box vibrated with life, inviting, daring her to take the leap. What awaited her beyond the threshold of the past? As the chaos swirled, one question loomed larger than anything else. Would she choose to face the truth, or let it swallow her whole? Evelyn's hand hung, trembling, just above the lid of the metal box. The soft glow pulsated like a heartbeat, urging her to open it, to expose whatever buried secrets waited within. But all she felt was a whirlwind of fear and dread. "What truth?" she gasped, her voice barely escaping her lips. Fraught with desperation. Suddenly, a blinding flash erupted from the box, sending shards of light spiraling into the night. Evelyn's instincts kicked in. "Get back!" she shouted, dragging Alice and the young girl behind her. But the man was unmoved, eyes glued to the glow, as if enchanted. The moment hung heavy in the air. Then everything changed. The box didn't just shimmer. It fractured. A loud, cracking sound echoed, splitting the lid wide open. Whatever was inside spilled forth like a storm unleashed, flooding the yard with swirling mist. Evelyn stumbled backward, heart racing, eyes wide with shock. The mist seized the menacing shadows, twisting them into faces. Not just any faces, but those from her past. Memories she thought she'd buried emerged like ghosts from an ancient grave. And in that moment, it happened. From the mist, the face of her long-lost sister, Claire, materialized in front of her, eyes accusing. Evelyn gasped. Clutching her chest, "Claire!" The name slipped out, a whisper of disbelief. "Why did you leave me?" Claire's voice was a haunting echo. "You thought you could outrun the truth?" Alice's grip tightened around Evelyn's arm. "Mom, what's happening?" she cried. Wide-eyed fear etched on her face. The man shifted, a glint of satisfaction sparking in his eyes as he stood transfixed by Claire's figure. Suddenly, the darkness wrapped around him seemed less malign and more familiar. "Do you see now?" he said, his voice low and tranquil. "You're not alone in this." Evelyn's heart slammed in her chest. "What do you mean? Who are you?" Confusion roiled in her stomach. The shadows twisted, forming a whirlwind around them, pulling Alice and the girl closer, threatening to swallow them whole. The metallic box glowed brighter, illuminating secrets that had long lain dormant. Without warning, the mist swirled around the man, revealing a familiar face. "No," Evelyn gasped. "It can't be." The man was Derek, the one who had vanished so many years ago, after she last saw Claire. Her breath caught, memories crashing into her like waves in a storm. He had been the one to rekindle the fire of old relationships, only to betray them. "You!" she pointed, trembling. "All this time?" "Yes, Evelyn, all this time," he replied, a twisted smile forming. "I needed you to stop running to face the past. This is what you built, a cage. Made of your fears. But Claire is here, and she's been waiting for you." Evelyn's world tipped on its axis. The shadows danced, voices layered together, clawing at her mind. "You used me!" she shouted, anger mingling with despair. "You dragged us back here!" "Did I?" he challenged, stepping forward, sparks crackling in the air. But Evelyn didn't back down. Neither did Claire, whose expression shifted from accusation to sympathy. "We share the same blood, Evelyn," Claire said softly, her tone both pained and loving. "You can't run from what you are. You can't hide from me." The weight of those words crashed over Evelyn like a tidal wave. Tears sprang to her eyes. There was love there, but also betrayal. What had she truly lost? And what had Derek unleashed? "Mom!" Alice screamed, the screaming pulling Evelyn from her reverie. "We need to go!" But the ground shook violently again. A fissure opened wider, sending a shudder through them, like the pulse of a living entity. The glow from the box reached out like fingers, beckoning Evelyn against her will. Could she embrace the truth? Could she stand with her sister, or would she crumble under the weight of past mistakes? Evelyn's heart raced. Her family was in danger, and she was still standing on the edge of revelation, torn between the past that clawed at her and the future that could shatter like glass. One question hung in the air, heavy with urgency. What would she choose, and what truths await as the chaos swirled around her? Evelyn's hand trembled over the lid of the mysterious box, the glow calling to her like a siren song. Every heartbeat felt urgent, every breath heavy with the weight of the past. This wasn't just about her anymore. Her daughter and granddaughter were in danger, swept into the storm of memories that threatened to consume them all. "What do I do?" she murmured, half to herself, half to the shadows that lingered. Then, with a sound like thunder, the air shifted. Light exploded from the box, and the figures swirling in the mist grew clearer. Claire's voice, soft yet piercing, echoed like a haunting melody. "You left me, Evelyn. You thought you could bury the truth, but it's rising." Evelyn's gut twisted. "I tried to protect you," she whispered, every ounce of her fighting the urge to retreat. But Alice's grip tightened around her arm, panic filling the air like poison. "Mom, please!" Alice cried, eyes wide as she pulled her mother back. But Claire's darker half-whisper lingered, tugging at her heart. The mist coiled, shifting shapes, radiating a sense of dread. Suddenly there was a flash. A scream pierced the night, sharper than glass. The man shifted, Derek, his eyes widening, skin pale as bone. "No, it can't be," he stammered, mouth agape. Moments before, he had been the embodiment of control, but now he looked like a child trapped in a nightmare. "What do you know?" Evelyn asked, voice suddenly fierce, propelled by something deep within. Derek hesitated, glancing nervously at the shimmering glow. "It's not clean," he stuttered, pointing at the box that now churned, releasing a dark smoke. "There's something alive in there, something worse than your memories." The soft, cool mist now twisted into a torrent, lashing around them, wild and chaotic. Claire's expression morphed from sorrow to rage. "You think you can hide? You think I'll just stand aside?" And with that, the ground shook again, the crack beneath them widening. Eve's pulse quickened as Derek stumbled backward, panic on his face. "This isn't supposed to happen," he yelled, voice rising above the chaos. Evelyn's heart raced. The truths buried deep in the past were rising, as if the earth itself demanded justice. What had Derek done? The energy shifted again, another darkness unfurling around the box. Then it all collapsed. A figure emerged from the dark and mist, a shape that sent chills down her spine. It was another woman, older but unmistakably familiar. Evelyn's blood ran cold. "Mom?" she breathed, not believing her eyes. "Evelyn," the shadow said, voice thick with unresolved tension. "Why did you leave?" Time stopped. Everything narrowed down to the chilling moment. The past that had haunted her now stood before her, and suddenly, nothing made sense. Barrick's malice shifted into something deeper, a connection to Evelyn's mother, a connection she had never wanted to acknowledge. "Stay back!" she screamed, feeling the rigidity in her bones, knowing this was a confrontation she had never prepared for. Alice pressed against her, confusion and fear mixing in her eyes. But the mist thickened, wrapping around them like a serpent, and churned, morphing everything into something dark and twisted. "Open it, Evelyn! Open it!" Claire cried, the desperation edging her voice. It's the only way to put it all to rest. And in that shocking moment, realization crashed down on Evelyn like a tidal wave. They were not just here to forgive or to find peace. They were here to unearth something buried, a family secret so explosive it changed everything they thought they knew. "What is this?" she whispered, heart pounding wildly. "Mom, are you here to harm us?" But the figure of her mother simply smiled, a haunting smile that didn't reach her eyes. "You know the answer, Evelyn. Let the truth reveal itself." Before she could grasp the meaning, the darkness surged. A roaring tide swallowing the noise of the outside world, while the shimmer from the box intensified. "What's happening?" Alice screamed in terror. The ground beneath them trembled again, propelling Evelyn toward the edge of the abyss, where every truth would both bind and shatter them, as the shadows danced, erupting with memories that strained. To be seen, one thought consumed her entire being. What had she truly buried? And when it emerged, would it tear them apart or pull them together? Evelyn's heart raced as the mist swirled around her, drawing closer, whispering secrets of the past. The faces emerged, a living tapestry of regrets and fears. "What are you?" she gasped, overwhelmed by the chaos and confusion pressing in on her. But before she could gather her thoughts, the figure of her mother advanced. And with a flick of her wrist, the harsh reality of her past lurched forward. "You can't run, Evelyn," her mother warned, voice lingering in the air like a specter. "The truth wants to be found." As her daughter squeezed her arm, panic flickered in Alice's eyes. "Mom, this is bad. We need to run." But Evelyn found her feet glued to the ground, entranced by the chaos twisting around her. Then, suddenly, a surge of energy erupted from the box. Light erupted like a supernova, illuminating everything. Evelyn shielded her eyes, and when the brightness faded, she blinked in disbelief. The familiar face of her mother shimmered but quickly morphed into something unrecognizable. A cruel smile twisting across her lips, eyes gleaming with a dangerous resolve. The revelation hit Evelyn like a punch in the gut. "What's happening?" she whispered, the ground trembling beneath her, shifting her sense of reality. "You can't be." But before she could finish, a distant rumble rolled through the air, like thunder breaking the silence. The box rattled violently, and the ground opened wide beneath her feet, a gaping maw ready to swallow them whole. Alice screamed, "Mom, hold on!" The wind howled around them, pulling at their clothes, intoxicating them with a sense of impending doom. But Evelyn's eyes were glued to her mother, now glowing brighter than she had ever known, dangerously radiant. "Remember the promises I made to you?" her mother said, voice echoing, twisting around them like chains. "How could I let you forget?" In that moment, Derek stepped back, the color draining from his face. "No, it can't be," he stammered, shaking his head in disbelief. But he wasn't speaking to Evelyn. He was staring at her mother, as if confronting a long-buried memory. The realization hit Evelyn like a tidal wave. Had Derek and her mother shared a past? "Stay away from her!" Evelyn shouted, feeling an unexpected spark of defiance. But the ground shook again, and the shadows of fear's past surged forth, pulling them all closer to the unknown. Then, with a deafening crack, the box shattered. Shards flew across the yard, releasing a torrent of smoke that billowed upward, thick and suffocating. Evelyn felt her eyes stinging, but she couldn't look away. Lines of shadow morphed into figures, shadows within shadows. And suddenly, silence. Everything halted. "Do you want to know the truth?" Her mother's voice echoed, soft yet cutting through the tension. "Everything you believed was a lie, Evelyn." Derek stood frozen, mouth agape, as the shadows whispered. "What do you mean?" he asked, fear creeping into his voice. And then the shadows converged toward Evelyn's mother, twisting into a silhouette so familiar that Evelyn's heart froze. The figure of a little girl emerged, a younger version of herself, glimmering lightly in the fading light. "You thought you could leave me behind?" the girl whispered, her tone dark and accusatory. Evelyn's breath hitched. Is that me?" Her mother nodded, tears sparkling like jewels in her eyes. "You see, dear, you aren't just running from the truth. You are the truth." The weight of the revelation crushed her. Suddenly, Evelyn felt the world spinning. The shadows danced around them again, the figures intertwining, merging into one chaotic whirlwind. "Mom, what does this mean?" Alice shouted, trembling beside her. But Evelyn was lost, drowning in the implications. And just then, a piercing scream shattered the night, cutting through the noise, echoing off the walls of her fractured reality. "Stop!" The command came from Derek, voice rising above the chaos. "Stop and listen!" Evelyn turned to him, eyes wide. Could he be the answer, or another piece of the endless puzzle shattering before her? As the storm threatened to engulf them, uncertainty swirled like the mist, chaining them to their past. What was the truth that bound them? How deep did this deception run? And in the suffocating shadows, one question remained. Who was she, really? Evelyn's heart thudded in her chest as her eyes locked onto her mother's familiar face. But the anger in that haunting smile twisted everything inside her. "What do you want from me?" she managed, voice shaking. Her mother's gaze did not waver. "You still don't see it, do you? You think you're facing the past, but the truth is, you've only scratched the surface." Derek shifted uncomfortably, his eyes darting between the shadowy figures surrounding them. "Stop!" he pleaded, the fear cracking his facade. "You don't understand what you're tampering with." Evelyn felt Alice tighten her grip on her arm, her knuckles white with terror. "Mom, we have to go! This isn't safe!" But Evelyn couldn't move. The swirling mist was intoxicating, drawing her closer to the shadows of old memories. Among them, Claire looked both vengeful and sad. The girl she once was stared back at her, silent accusation written across her young face. "Why didn't you save us, Evelyn?" the girl whispered. A sudden crack split the air like thunder. The ground trembled again. The box erupted, A flash of light enveloped everything, blinding and all-consuming. The last thing she remembered was Alice's terrified scream as the world shattered into darkness. When the light faded, Evelyn stumbled backward, disoriented. The yard was gone. Instead, they stood in a white void, cold and stark. There were no shadows, no familiar faces, just silence. No sound, no movement, just her family. "Mom?" Alice's voice was small, echoing in the void. The familiarity melted away like snow in the sun, leaving only fear behind. Evelyn's heart raced. Alice? And then somehow, Claire emerged from nowhere, her young form now older, but still radiant. "You have to remember," she urged, desperation coloring her voice. "It's all connected." "What are you talking about?" Evelyn shouted, confusion slicing through her dread. "Everything you thought was a secret, it's not! You have to see what they've hidden from you!" Her blue eyes glinted with urgency as she pointed into the void. Evelyn turned, and there it was. The image began to form. Scenes from years ago flickered like a broken film reel, splitting apart the memories. Pictures of a house, laughter. But then, darkness, an argument, hurtful words, and there was Derek. Shone pulling away, his back turned on her mother's cry shattering into pieces. "That's it!" Claire shouted, grasping Evelyn's shoulders. "You need to open your eyes." Before Evelyn could react, the void shifted again. This time it wasn't just memories, it was the world crumbling. Figures appeared, men and women, ghostly silhouettes rising from the ground. The faces twisted, revealing expressions of betrayal, anger, and pain. Family members she hadn't seen in decades filled the void. "What are they doing here?" Evelyn gasped as a chill overtook her. "They're here because of you." Derek's voice broke through, low and icy. "They're remnants of the truth you buried." Evelyn recoiled, feeling something shift beneath her. "No, I don't understand." But then an unexpected figure pushed through the gloom. A tall, imposing man with familiar features and everything locked into place. "You think you're the innocent one, Evelyn?" he spat, his eyes burning with an intensity that matched her fear. It was her father. "Dad?" she whispered, breathless. "How can you be here?" He stepped forward, anger bubbling under the surface. "You have no idea what you've wrought. You were meant to keep it hidden." The realization washed over her like ice water. Every memory, every moment spiraled together and coiled tightly, revealing a bond she never wanted to confront. "What did you do?" she choked, backing away from the furious specter. "What have you done to my family?" The shadows thickened as her father reached out, the anger swirling into something dark and tangible. "You brought this on us all, Evelyn. You decided to break the cycle." Alice shook beside her. "Mom, what is happening?" Before Evelyn could respond, the specters surged forward, a furious wave roiling around them. Instinct kicked in. She had to choose. Face this truth or let it consume her. A final scream echoed in the void as Evelyn's world fractured again. Only one thought remained, a devastating question lingering in the air. Was she truly ready to uncover a truth that could tear apart everything she thought she knew? Would uncovering the past open wounds never meant to heal? Evelyn's heart pounded. Swirling memories crashing over her like a tidal wave. Her mother's face, once familiar and loving, now twisted with accusation. Derek's presence flickered, his certainty beginning to grovel. But the ground beneath them trembled violently, anchoring Evelyn in a storm of fear and confusion. "We have to face this," Claire pressed, urgency flooding her voice. "It's not just about you, Evelyn." The shadows churned, and Evelyn felt a surge of panic. "I can't go back! I can't!" But the moment hung suspended, and Alice's grip tightened on her arm, grounding her even as everything threatened to shatter. The scene pulsed, memories spiraling in chaotic disarray. Figures materialized, their faces a jigsaw puzzle of pain and betrayal, circling like vultures. Suddenly, a chilling voice punctured the air, deep and resonant. "You think this is where your story ends?" Evelyn's breath caught as an unexpected figure emerged. Her grandmother, Anna, stepped forward, her eyes shimmering with hidden knowledge. "You were never meant to." "Escape, Evelyn." "What do you mean?" Evelyn gasped, confusion hazing her thoughts. But the truth felt so near, like a thread teasing at her consciousness. "You think you're the one holding the key?" Anna's voice rose, rich with age and authority. "You've been a pawn in a far larger game." A chill crept through Evelyn. The reality of her situation warped as fear and revelation collided within her. Derek's face paled, understanding dawning. "What do you know?" he stammered, backing away. "Everything," Anna replied, dark confidence threading her tone. "This isn't just your mess, Evelyn. It's generations deep." Suddenly, Evelyn's world splintered. The shadows shrieked, condensing into waves of dark energy that warped reality around them. A thunderous crash shattered the air, and the ground cracked wide open beneath her feet. Evelyn grasped Alice tightly, her heart racing. "Hold on!" Just as she instinctively braced for a fall, light erupted from the fissure, a blinding glow shooting upwards, illuminating everything around them. They were engulfed in brilliance. "Don't let go!" Claire shouted, urgency like fire in her veins. The edge of the abyss twisted, and with a sickening lurch, the figures began to dissolve, their whispers melding into a cacophony. But just when it seemed that the chaos reached its peak, an unexpected voice pierced through the tumult, cutting like a knife. "You don't know how far this goes, do you, Evelyn?" Evelyn's heart dropped. Recognizing the voice, she turned, eyes wide. "Ben, how are you here?" There he stood, her long-lost brother, the boy she had thought vanished forever. "I've been waiting for you to find the truth." Ben's voice resonated, full of hurt. "And it's not what you think. It's worse." "What are you talking about?" Confusion twisted her gut like a knot. "The shadows. They've always been a part of our family," Ben claimed, voice trembling. "And you're more connected than you realize." Evelyn's mind raced, a million questions bubbling over. But the chaos swirled, mingling with Ben's words, intertwining past and present. "What do you mean?" she pleaded. But Ben's gaze shifted. "Just open your eyes, Evelyn. You've got it all wrong." His voice broke, raw with pain. "When you let Anna in, you let chaos seep into our family. And it was your choice." A rush of energy surged, and everything spun out of focus. The ground began to quake again, and Evelyn felt herself slipping toward the encroaching darkness. "No, we have to stay together," she cried, frantic and desperate to understand. But as the shadows began to pull her, Ben's words wrapped around her heart, coating her in doubt. "You have to decide where your loyalties lie. The darkness may not be what you think it is." Just then, the void erupted with noise, shadowy figures reaching out as if they were alive. And in that moment, Evelyn understood. This was a reckoning of truths, not just for her, but for the whole family. The lines between loved ones and enemies began to blur, leaving her with one burning question. Who could she truly trust? Evelyn's heart raced, each thump echoing the chaos swirling around her. The darkness pressed in, the shadows screaming. Faces of family members, once warm, now twisted with pain and accusation. "You can't run from this anymore," Claire's voice pierced through the noise, urgency gripping her words. "You have to face what you've hidden, the truth lurking in the depths." Alice clutched her mother's arm tighter, her small fingers shaking with fear. "Mom, make it stop, please!" But Evelyn felt as if she were being pulled into the storm, the memories swirling like a tornado. And then, just like that, everything shifted. The scene around them twisted more violently, the figures melding together into a mass of darkness. And within that chaos came the booming voice of her father. "You brought this upon us! You thought leaving would solve it? Let her go!" Derek shouted, his voice trembling now, almost pleading. But Evelyn couldn't tear her gaze from her past, blurring into her present. Everything she had fought to forget was crashing down like the walls of Jericho. Suddenly, a blinding flash erupted from the center of the void. Evelyn shielded her eyes, feeling an overwhelming surge of energy that pushed her back. "No!" she gasped. Caught between fear and awe, the shadows flickered, swirling into a vortex that pulled at her very soul. Then it happened. A deafening crack split the air. A figure emerged from the heart of the chaos, cloaked in swirling mist, its features obscured. The form gradually became clearer, until Evelyn's world tilted dangerously. She stepped back in disbelief, eyes wide. No, it can't be. Staring back at her was her younger self, the little girl who used to play in the yard, who spent hours drawing in her room. But this version of herself, her eyes dark, sad, sneered at her. "You think you've forgotten me? You think you can push the truth away?" Evelyn's breath caught. How is this possible?" "Because," the younger self responded, voice laced with bitterness, "you left me behind. You buried the truth, and now it's back. All of it," Alice gasped, eyes darting between the two versions of her mother. "Mom!" she called, fear and confusion breaking through the tension. The younger Evelyn growled with a twisted smile. "You ignored me. You abandoned everything we had, and now it's time to pay the price." Before Evelyn could gather her thoughts, the ground began to shudder beneath her. A tremor cut through like a knife, amplifying the urgency. Shadows poured from every corner, wrapping around her, echoing with the voices of lost memories. "You can't escape who you are," they rang in unison, voices layered and filled with anguish. Derek, overwhelmed, lunged forward, trying to break the grip of darkness. "Evelyn, you have to fight it!" But all Evelyn felt was despair engulfing her. "What do I fight? This is my past. This is me." The words fell from her lips, raw and desperate. In an instant, everything exploded outward. The void cracked open, blinding light pouring forth, and a booming voice echoed through the chaos. "Enough!" At once, all the shadows recoiled, and Evelyn watched in sheer shock. In the wake of the light stood a figure, tall, larger than life, with eyes that seemed to hold the universe's secrets. "You think you know pain?" the figure spoke, voice deep and reverberating. "You have no idea what pain truly is." It was a voice she had never expected. A cold shiver racked her spine. "What? Who?" But the figure stepped closer, revealing a face she thought she had buried long ago, a visage untainted by time or memory. Evelyn, her long-lost brother Aaron, whispered, a sound heavy with heartbreak. It's time you faced what you've run from your entire life, or lose everything. Evelyn felt the ground shift beneath her, her reality spiraling. Aaron? She gasped, disbelief painting her words. But you... How? I thought you were gone! His gaze bore into her, filled with intensity. I was never gone. I've been watching, waiting for the moment you'd finally confront the truth. The moment you'd understand the depth of our family's darkness. As he spoke, the shadows began to retreat, and for the first time, Evelyn sensed a flicker of hope. But the weight of his words hung in the air, heavy as lead. What had she burdened herself with? What truth lay buried so deep? Evelyn, Aaron continued, do you still want to keep running? Or can you finally embrace who you are? Because if you don't, nothing will ever be the same again. The question hung in the air. Freezing time. Chaos still raged around them, memories swirling like fragments of glass, and darkness crept closer. But for the first time, Evelyn felt the choice was upon her. Would she confront her past, or would she let it consume her whole? Dread pooled in her stomach. The truth felt monumental, terrifying. What if embracing it meant losing everyone she loved? What if discovering the depths of her family's history shattered everything, and with that uncertainty, darkness loomed larger than ever, leaving only one resounding question. Was she strong enough to face the truth, or would she rather let it swallow her whole? Evelyn's breath hitched, caught in her throat as she faced the swirling vortex of shadows and memories. Each figure, each accusation, felt like a blade piercing her soul. But as Aaron stood before her, a beacon of light in the chaos, something shifted within her. The weight of their families, past pressed down, and for the first time a glimmer of clarity cut through the darkness. "I'm done running!" she shouted, voice steady despite the tremor in her heart. "I'm done hiding from my past!" The shadowy figures hesitated, the chorus of anguished murmurs falling silent. Claire's younger self stepped back, surprise flickering in her eyes. Even Derek's intensity dulled, uncertainty taking root in him. "I remember you! I remember all of you!" Evelyn cried, her voice rising above the storm. "Every moment, every mistake. But I can't let fear dictate my life any longer. I choose to confront my truth." Light burst forth, filling the void, illuminating the faces of her family. Evelyn felt something surge within her, a wave of warmth that washed over her like a long-forgotten embrace. Memories of laughter, love, and even pain flickered through her mind, threading through her heart like lifelines. "What if they choose to hurt you again?" Derek's voice broke through the moment, a desperate plea that echoed the fear resonating in the air. "Then I'll deal with that," she declared fiercely, feeling the strength of those words resonate within her. "But I refuse to let any of you define me any longer." With those words, the darkness around them quaked. Aaron stepped beside her, shoulders squared. "She's right. The truth is powerful, and it's finally time for healing. We can't change what's happened, but we can choose how we move forward." As if in response, the shadows began to dissipate, revealing the faces of lost family members, each one torn between light and dark, desire and regret. They hovered, unsure, caught in the brink of judgment and reconciliation. "Let go of the pain," Claire shouted, her voice a shimmering thread that entwined with hope. Let the past teach you, but don't let it bury you. Evelyn's heart raced. The fear that had once held her captive now felt like a rising tide of courage. She stepped forward, drawing strength from her family's shared history. Together, we can break this cycle. At that moment, the swirling darkness split open, cascading into light. Faces of her family morphed into reflections of love and strength. Their shadows not ghosts, but guides. She felt her heart swell, the warmth igniting courage she forgot she possessed. Everything shifted. The figures began to smile, and the storm around them calmed, turning into a shimmering aurora that encapsulated them in light. She felt Alice squeeze her hand tightly, a soft whisper of reassurance. "Mom, we did it." "Yes, we did," Evelyn breathed, tears welling in her eyes. She turned to see Aaron and Claire exchanging looks, acknowledging the bridge they built. As the world brightened, the echoes of her family flooded her with a sense of togetherness. The bonds they had forged were stronger than the shadows of the past. "I'll always remember you," she said, each word laced with a promise. And then, with a sudden jolt, they were back in her yard, the night sky clear and stars shimmering above them. The metallic box lay shattered. The shadows faded into memories, leaving only light in their wake. "Told you I'd find the truth," she murmured, feeling the weight of a burden finally lifted. As Evelyn drew her family close, she knew change wasn't instant. It would take time, but she felt a wave of calm wash over her. Together, they would rebuild, stronger than before, ready to embrace whatever lay ahead. "Let's go inside," she said softly, her heart full of hope. "We have a new beginning to fight for." And as they stepped forward into the warmth of her home, the shadows began to dissipate completely, leaving behind the stark beauty of a future forged in forgiveness and love. You have to subscribe right now. Don't miss a beat of the incredible stories coming your way. Smash that like button right now to feed the algorithm. Let's show your support. Flood the comment section with your thoughts and theories about this finale. I want to hear from you. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see how this ends. Only real fans understand the importance of supporting this channel through your actions. Let's make this community stronger together.